Yeah. Oh, here we go.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
Hello. Welcome,
Hello, hello, hello.
welcome. How's everyone? How are you, Al?
I am well. I am well. I am well. It's been a minute. It's been a minute, and I'm very,
Yes, we had
very
to
grateful to be here.
postpone, right?
Yeah, we had to postpone. I got sick, uh, and then I think you got sick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It was like
yeah,
a
yeah.
coordinated transoceanic virus
Yes.
working very
Lot of
hard to
sick
keep us
people
apart.
around.
Yeah.
Seriously, like
Oh yeah.
I've been seeing like on Twitter creators saying I'm sick. People at the shop has been sick. It's just like yes, it's been a minute, like you said, but we are here for Old Man Yap. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome in. We are here to yap. Actually, we were yapping a lot, even pre-stream. And I was like, oh, wait, hold on. What time is it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I mean, it was a classic moment of the type of guy that both of
Ah,
us are, where Janken needs to test out some audio levels, just make sure that everything like looks right, looks nice and good. And I'm like, okay, I'll just start talking to like use up some airtime, create a little bit of volume data, and then we just started. We just kept on going. We just kept on
yeah,
going.
yeah, yeah,
I was just saying whatever popped into my head. And he was like, "Oh no, I've got like interesting things to say about that. I've got interesting follow-ups on that. I got some advice to give you." I was like, "That's
yeah.
cool, but that was not what I was aiming for. I just wanted,
Yeah. So
I just
yeah,
wanted to do."
we were doing audio check as usual, but you guys, you know me. I would rather you guys tell me if someone's not loud enough or something. Because if you don't hear us, what's the point of yapping? So
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I say this all the time. It is like my number one thing I tell viewers is like
Mm,
there's nothing more golden to a streamer than viewers who tell as soon as the audio goes wrong.
yes,
There's
and
nothing more gold. It's the best thing you can do. Like
and as long as I don't have someone who's just like, yeah, maybe. I'm like, okay, okay. That means it's actually huge because everyone dampen their because
yeah.
don't want to be rude. So like usually people are a little bit less how can I say a little bit less in your face. So the moment
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
someone show doubts, I was like, okay, okay, this is terrible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's I mean it's a like classic thing of
Yeah.
is it just me? Right? Is it just
Right,
me?
right, right.
Because
Exactly.
I live for people giving me audio feedback because
Yes.
I have bad hearing.
Yeah, yeah,
I have
you were
been
telling
yeah,
me.
yeah. Yeah,
Like
I have been I've been placed in the cursed position of having a voice that people love but terrible hearing.
Like a proper old man, I guess. Did you want
Yeah, yeah.
BGM? Yeah, I did. Thank you. There's some. Sorry about that. Here we go. We
Mhm.
have it. Oh, and now it's going to be doubled. Uh oh. Old man did not prep properly. Okay, we good.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Uh,
you. So yeah. We were chatting about prep, and then one thing led to another. But we do have a
yeah.
lot of topics because last time I did prepare some, and then some were added by Al and everything. So yes, we have a lot. So I hope you guys are in to get your ears. How can I say? How do they say to get your ears read? Like, is there an expression about that? I feel you're better on that field.
Uh, Ears red is like a embarrassment.
Ah, yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's like embarrassed. Um, or like people are talking about you when you can't hear. Like your ears get hot when
Right,
people are
right.
saying
I'm
things
just
about
being
you.
silly and like I'm trying to find a
Yeah.
funny pun.
I'm
No
trying to figure out what
funny
the
uncle puns. Apparently, it's not happening.
I'm so bad for that.
Oh,
I
really?
appreciate puns, but I appreciate them. I don't mind them. They just like don't occur to
Ah.
me. They just like don't occur to me. I'm like
I see.
like every time like my chat catches me with decent puns all the time, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
that one didn't occur to me. Thank you. Like, very frequently surprised. Very
I
frequently caught
see.
off guard on
I
that
see.
one. Yeah.
I
Uh,
actually love pun, but maybe it's a
mhm.
language thing.
It
Maybe
might be. It might
it's
be. Yeah.
because English, even if I'm super comfortable and I feel very almost native, but puns, they're like kind of instinct kind of level. So sometimes like they don't
Mhm.
translate in my head as well.
And of course, you're I'm trying to keep track of what the math is here. Is it your second language or your third language? Japanese.
Second.
Japanese is number 2?
No. English is second, and Japanese is number 3.
Japanese comes in at number 3. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, I know French is number 1.
Yes, that's correct.
Japanese is like one of the most like pun-happy languages out there.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of puns in Japanese. Like it's almost the essence of the language, to be honest. Sometimes it's just they cannot not do it.
I still think about a friend of mine who lived in Japan, and one of his teachers, he had the amazing fortune to have a teacher named Komatsu. So they got to, and who was a difficult teacher, so everybody got to say that they were komatemashita, so they were troubled by their sensei, like incredible fortune to have that level, that like ease of pun access.
It's very easy.
It's just ridiculous. Like an illustration I always like to point out is the highest level. So you know what a homophone is, right? We get more. Maybe I'll just explain.
By the way, let's keep on that topic because this is very, very close to the first thing that I wanted to bring.
Yeah.
So yes, homophone. You said, right?
Yeah, homophones. So homophones are when two words sound the same but don't mean the same thing.
Yes.
So red as in the color and read as in to to read in the past tense. So the highest level homophone we have in English is a level 7, which is raise.
There are levels for that?
Well, it's like how many things are pronounced raise that mean different things.
I see.
So I'm just using level as the way to kind of describe this. You could use order or like degree or whatever. But
okay.
There are 7 English words that are pronounced raise. Like like to raise a flag or raise of sun. But and you have to get into like weird ones that even I don't remember. Like I only heard them in the context of like this piece of trivia. The ones I know off the top of my head are to raise a flag, to raise a building, R-A-Z-E, raise of sunlight. Those are the ones I can remember. But that's the same spelling.
Yeah,
that's the same concept.
Zero
on. Those are the ones I know. But there's also like this is pronounced that way, and R-E-I-S, and like I don't know what that means.
I have never seen that in my life.
It's old. It's like
it's
a stop
for us, though.
Yeah, it's a thing that people stopped using like 300 years ago.
Okay, old. Maybe a little bit too old.
Maybe a little bit old for us. And in Japanese, like the similar number is like 47.
Yes, I believe it. I believe it.
There's probably at least like 30 verbs that are pronounced kiru alone. It's brutal. It's brutal in Japanese. It's absolutely brutal.
Yeah, the homophone are really. It's been one of my biggest problem. Like, I'm at low level, but like at some point, you get like, wait, like I've learned this other thing, and then the thing is that they all have usually their own kanji though. So you can have You can have like so many kanjis, but they all read the same.
This is one of those things that like people who have only studied Japanese a little bit sometimes get thrown by. Is like, no, the kanji do start to make things easier at a certain point.
Yes.
They do start to make it easier.
It's
crazy.
They are needed because there was someone who was showing me what would a book look like if it was only in hiragana, no katakana. No kanji, it's you don't know when things start, when things end. You don't know when the particle starts or the particle end. You know nothing. It's just like it's almost impossible.
Is this a particle wa, or is this supposed to be pronounced ha? Like it's awful. It's such a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. Because if not, the particle is not ha, it's wa. And oh my god, they do it sometimes. Sometimes I see on products. I think they're trying to do it more kid friendly, maybe.
Yeah,
like very young kid.
There's definitely a kid friendly element to it, and there's also the like using katakana even when it's a native Japanese word, even when there's kanji for it, as like a cool thing.
All the time.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
I don't even know if that's become passe yet or not, because that was cool when I was learning Japanese, and that's like a long time ago at this point.
A lot of people like think they're not gonna need katakana because katakana are for foreign word, but like that's BS. It's everywhere. Everywhere. Products? Katakana. All the time.
And you don't always, the katakana are sometimes like tricky, right? They're sometimes tricky. So like they're not always things you think, right? So like rajikase. Yeah.
Oh, like a radio cassette?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
like that's not like obvious to you as a native English speaker.
You saw it took me like a couple of seconds. Like, what did he say? Oh yeah, yes. And that's the thing. You even have to think on what they tried sound wise to make.
And there's the two like WAPRO is one that I always liked because like the WAPROs are not an important technology in America. Like we don't care about that. Like we don't use the phrase very often. What the English is like it's the Japanese of word processor. They're not a technology that made a big difference to Americans, but in Japanese they're a huge deal. They're really important. And so like it's a genericized term. You know?
And sometimes it's words that origin not from English, and then you think like arubaito, right?
Arubaito,
I don't know if you know arubaito.
Arubaito, yeah, I know arubaito from German.
But like if you don't know that and you hear arubaito, you're just like, what kind of English word is that? And it's like it's because it's not. And they have a lot of like European terms for some stuff, but. I had fun really fun actually. Yeah, I think
it is.
Yeah,
I like it. I actually remember having a lot of fun when I was in a Japanese class where there was champagne as champagne no nomimashita, and I could not figure out what the hell they were trying to say when I read it. I was like looking at this and I'm like, what is this? And so like I just read it in the Japanese sense, and then when I got to that word, it was like we were doing like reading exercises as part of the class, right? Just to clarify here. And so I just read it in a flat American accent, Sean Penn. Just because I was so good, I did not get the champagne.
Yes,
is what it was. It was
champagne. That's champagne.
And I was like, I did not get it. I did not get that, so I was like, Sean Penn.
That's good. I was like, I was actually, I won't lie, I was letting you go with your champagne, and it was like, I had my brain did not even think like, oh, he's going for champagne, and I was just like,
because even like
the way that all the time.
Yeah, even though the way American pronounce it sounds weird to the Frenchies, you know. How do you say champagne? Is that what you said? Champagne.
Oh, and that's the thing with Japanese people. They love to try to replicate the source as close as possible. Sometimes it's not feasible, but they will try to replicate in their origin language, not in the English that, you know, in English like it would be champagne or something, but like in French it's champagne. So they will go with like the sounds that is closer to the origin and not to the English variant and how it would be pronounced. So
which is fair, but also that's a pretty brutal one to do it with, because that's a difficult end sound. They learned the words Zurich and it hurt their brain. Nice. Nice. I mean, the one I always
consonate that are all together for Japan is a nightmare. Because
I mean, Japanese has very limited consonant sounds.
Because it is always a vowel. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
It is a blessing to people who I don't know, like, I'm trying to think like languages I know. I don't know any languages that have fewer consonant sounds than Japanese, which is kind of a blessing if you're learning Japanese as your second language. That like the ta distinction from Hindi. Like that was a tricky one for me when I was studying Hindi. Was the ta distinction. They've got 4 T's in Hindi. It's
Ah.
brutal. They got 4 T's and 4 D's. It's brutal.
Yeah.
And you know, like one of the ones I always like to bring up whenever I get to talk about this stuff. The Zurich in Japanese is oh wow, that's rough. Chuhi. That's rough. That's brutal.
Churihi.
Churihi. That's brutal. That's so brutal.
I think. I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
It's a very long oo for sure.
It is very long. That is. Well, I've also never seen the like double H. Like that's a new one by me.
It's just a long. The song just goes longer.
Yeah. But like in like other people can tell that like I've lived in particular parts in America because of how I pronounce like a handful of very specific words.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, notably chutzpah is the really obvious one.
Yeah, I think we talked about that one.
Yeah, we probably talked about it a couple times. I always find it fun. I always find it a fun one. And like that's not a sound that even Americans don't use that sound very often. Very few Americans use that sound. And English uses so many consonant sounds. Like it is ridiculous how many consonant sounds English has. It is incredible.
Yeah, I think there are worse languages, but yeah,
there probably are. We don't use any clicks, right? We don't use any clicks.
Yeah.
Like any language.
All
like
I was trying to learn Portuguese from Nando the other day, and there were some sounds. I was just like, I'm looking at the alphabet, and how the heck do you tell me that this plus this make that sound? Like I was just like, oh my lord.
Well, the vowel thing that killed me, Miss Janken, was I was trying to learn a little bit of Irish Gaelic a couple years ago. I just wanted to like know how to read Irish Gaelic. Famously difficult language to read, famously brutal orthography. I was like, I can learn a little bit of this, and no, I can't. I was looking at that. I was looking at their rules for how you pronounce vowels, and it's all over the place.
Interesting.
Like Japanese is pretty like 1-to-1. Like you see,
what you see is what you get. Yeah.
It's like many to many. It was so brutal. It was so rough. It was like, this is sometimes pronounced as an oo, but sometimes as an e. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And sometimes like a GH is a vowel sound sometimes. It's like, this is not great, man. I am not into this. I am not having fun with this one at all.
I want to butt in with one other topic I want to bring
absolutely.
before we go too deep into this one. Well, we've already been talking. We've been yapping about it for some time, but it's still related in a way. It's a bit controversial, but I thought it was very interesting, and I wanted to know if you had thought. I had thought on it. I've seen that meme, and I'm sure people have seen that meme going around. It's that meme where there's a teacher who goes on the board and they write banned words, and then they have like all the alpha slang that we know, right? YAP being one, by the way. YAP being one, and all of the skibbity and all of the alpha, omega, the maxing, come on, brain, YAP, Riz, yes. All of that is just like banned word, cannot be used like in my class. Sigma, that's right. Pog, it's a bit of a millennial one, but I think they would maybe sometime write it. And as an education inclined person, I have thought about. I understand why there are reasons for teachers to come to the point where they're like, we need to ban those words in the classroom. And I think I know why. And a lot of people probably like don't see it like long term. But I wanted to know if first, before like I give my own opinion about my own topic, because this is not new, right?
It's not.
When we're young too, we sometimes would have like some words that would like not like being appreciated
Yeah,
like in the classroom?
So, there's a couple of angles to this, right? There's a couple of angles to this. Miss Janken brings up the most obvious one, right? Which is, if the teacher doesn't understand the word well enough, they can't regulate it, they can't moderate it, to use our content creator brained way of looking at it. And that's a fair reason to restrict the utility of it. Is like, I can't even tell if this is a slur or not, so let's keep it out. I think about an exercise that I got when I was very young, a writing exercise that I was given by a teacher when I was very young, which was, we were given a writing assignment, and I was probably 3rd or 4th grade, and we had to explain, right? We had to write a little expository essay, and we were not allowed to use the word because.
Interesting.
And
I you know what? You're going exactly where I want to go. So I just want to tell you. Yeah. Okay. And how did it go?
I'm still thinking about it, like, half a lifetime later.
Wow.
So clearly it had an impact on me. And I beefed it. I immediately used because. I immediately I beefed it instantly. But I definitely think about that as a valuable. I think that's good. I think that is a good thing. That's a good thing to ask your students to do.
Yes. Why? I know why, but why would you say it's a good thing?
I think it's good to force people out of their cliches.
Yes, and also
that's my thought.
There's so many words out there, right? We have so many words in every language to say and describe so many things.
Yes.
And I think it becomes, I'm going to use the word dangerous, but it's not, maybe it's a bit much. It becomes dangerous to only use certain words for that means like a lot of other words. I found people who cannot stop saying some of the more derogatory word. And like for the word stupid, for example, right?
I know the word you're talking about. Yes, I know the word you're talking about. I don't like that.
You know what I'm talking about.
I remember that being a. That's a word that's a really interesting.
It's still a thing. It's 2024, and it's still a thing. And I'm like, and I think this is the kind of what like we're trying to go here when we're like trying to make a student, makes a younger mind go with like, hey, how about we use like those other words that we have, right? Except and like, because otherwise like you use those slangs for everything else you could say, because it replaced, that's the thing nowadays, it replaced everything. Like, it doesn't mean anything at a certain level. And I think the value outside of like frustrating people like out of their internet mind, it's to go toward that way. And also and like Ms. can say, it's also to like realize that some words don't also mean what you think they mean. Because now their slangs give them another like, okay, I'll say one. I don't care, it's my channel. Raw dogging, right?
Okay.
I talk about this with Ms. Janken the other day, actually, and that's crazy. I'm sorry, but it's insane that like kids are using this in the classroom, bro. Like,
that's like a funny one, because like I identify as an 18 plus streamer, not because I end up talking about a lot of sexual topics, but because I just really don't need the kind of responsibility that comes with self-identifying as a safe sex streamer. I get it. It's a lot of like administrative overhead to specifically opt out of being an 18 plus streamer. And like I've said, like, I'm just raw dog in life more than once. You know?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I get why it's a thing. Like, it makes sense. It makes sense. Like, you don't need the known sexual aspect of it to make it make sense in other part, right? But it is a thing. You have to, when you use that word, to also know what it comes with. I think I saw a comic, actually. It was on Twitter or something. Someone was just like using it, and then they actually told them, hey, do you also know what this actually means? Like to know at least what you're saying, right? It's okay. For example, skibidi, right? Like, I was talking to someone about skibidi because it's so silly now, and I'm like, skibidi just comes from like from the what is the type of music, from Scatman, from the scat, right? The music, and then I'm like I don't know if like that creator, that developers was just like scat, like like shit, skibidi, and then I don't know, I don't know how the creation of like this meaning went by, but I'm just like, it actually comes from like something very cultural, very music oriented, and then people just like they don't know that, right?
Skibidi came from scat. No, so it's a scat singing thing.
It's crazy, but it's crazy that like people like don't realize that, right? And I think maybe banning them, it's the easy way. That's my other take. I think banning something is just gonna make the opposite. If you just say, I'm banning all those words, and you end it there, you don't have a conversation about it, and you're just being a salty teacher, and you go, you know what? These kids, screw that. I don't understand what they're saying. What they're saying doesn't make sense with what I know. Ban word. Like, I don't want to catch you guys saying those words, or I'm sending you like in detention. Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's part two ways in education about like those quote unquote ban words. But no, the teacher know most of the time. They do, but I don't know. Maybe they're taking the easy way out. Because they they have their own like teaching kind of job to do, and they see that this is part. I don't know. I'm not sure, because I wouldn't do that, and I don't know in the mind of the people that do. But and I think even us as content creator, it's funny, right? We will use those terms once in a while. Like I love saying YAP, and YAP is of course like something that has like in the trendy, it's kind of becoming like more trendy word, right? But like I love to think about that, and I love to share about like what we're actually saying, and not just like go and like, oh, I'm about to say those trendy words and I'm just gonna like use them without like actually thinking. So I thought it was really interesting in the sense that like it's a thing that always will be generational, of course. Slangs, but I feel that just like we are thinking less about it. I don't know. Maybe it's me being old. This is why I wanted to talk about it. Like, am I just being old?
Yeah. I wonder. I'm Well, because the slang terms that the teachers were clamping down when I was a student, and this is partially a factor of, I guess, the type of era I grew up in and the types of slang that were popular. The types of slang that the teachers wanted to clamp down on were really awful slurs. As a rule, they were really really awful. Yes. Like it was not things. They were not too worried about like your groovies or whatever. Your equivalent of like not just like silly. Like yeah. These were like the sort of thing that you fired,
Yes,
kind of thing.
I don't think he has to explain. I think
Yeah,
everyone
I don't
gets it.
want to. I don't want to get
at
too much
least.
more detail, but like these were brutal
Yes.
and
Things you should really not say for real. Like,
really not
yes,
say. And it was actually a kind of interesting contrast because I recollect I went to public school. I went to American public school. I'm not wealthy enough to have gone to private schools, and in the public schools I was in. So we had like the teachers occasionally clamping down on language because somebody would say something like really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
And then the other things that they were clamping down on were like actual drug use. Like we had people doing like hard drugs in the bathroom, like the kind of stuff they make movies about, kind of stuff. Which is a heck of a thing to see, and like you're like not normally thinking like. But like I don't think most of us. I think most of us think it's pretty crazy to hear about like 14-year-olds doing like heroin and stuff like that. Like that was the kind of thing we had to worry about because again, American public schools. And the other, but then at the same time, the administration was really, 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 really concerned with dress code enforcement.
Oh, interesting. That was never a thing for me in Canada.
It was just so jarring. It was so jarring, and it was so weird that like. The things that the principal and the other upper levels of the admin thought were real problems in the school were like girls' shorts being too short.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just this is, and it's like we have like some serious problems here. Like this is like holy crap. Do you think like kids are gonna be doing like less cocaine and stuff and like smoking less crack?
No, I get it. They were literally not tackling the right issues.
But I'm gonna agree with Ms. Janken here. There was absolutely an element of misogyny to it. Like on it, like absolutely, there's a misogyny.
100%.
Like it was no question in my mind. And like there's something galling about a level of like misogyny that like 15-year-old boys are noticing and thinking is weird, right? Like 15-year-old boys are like, "Are you kidding me?" Like,
you're right. Maybe it's a, how can I say, a diversion. Like kind of like tactic here, right? You can't like deal with the actual problem, so you create another problem.
It's I think this is a thing that humans do in general, not just like school administration. I think it's something that like I'm very vulnerable to this myself in my daily life. And it's like I owe all this. Bills are coming due, or like. I'm going through some sort of crisis, so that means it's a really good time to mop the floors.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You know you should be doing something, but
nothing gets
nothing of it.
Nothing gets me through my household chores more efficiently than a bigger problem.
No, I get it. I get it for sure.
It's. Well, yeah, Bjorn, that's kind of what I'm going for. Is like you have a problem that seems insurmountable and too serious, and therefore that gives you an impetus to create a problem that's more manageable.
Yeah. So to bring it back to the language, you think this is also what we're doing? Because when we think about it, like those words, like come on, they're just come on. They're nothing, right? Like they're really nothing. Like there's really. Like it's all very okay, what's the correct word? They're not powerful. They don't have like heavy meanings. Like sometimes like yes, all right, maybe a little bit too sexual for like your age, but it's not like as problematic as the thing you were like saying like we had to deal with. Just like no, this is proper like very bad and very problematic. Like it's just I think. At some point, oh man, I'm about to bring something I was not ready for. It's like blaming the video games.
No, I think that's the thing that happens. that's the thing that happens all the time. And
people are still blaming the video games in 2024. Can you believe this shit?
Okay. This is fun. This does allow me to talk about a fun thing. This does allow me to talk about a kind of fun thing. Sociology lecture time. So people who don't know this one for a moment here, just backing out a second here. When I say former professor, current VTuber, that's not a bit. I am actually a former professor. I did teach college level courses. Not just like a character bit. That is the thing. And I did not teach history. I taught sociology. That's something that people often think I taught history.
You love history.
I love history. I love history.
Yeah.
That wasn't what I actually have a lot of as much formal education. It's sociology. One of my favorite little things from sociology that I think is super cool is, so again, we have this thing. Do violent video games cause violent behaviors?
Yeah, the classic.
The classic. And that's actually a modern variation of a much longer thing of, do people directly imitate the behaviors they see in media?
Right. That used to be the big topic before video game became the target.
Video game's just the new front.
Exactly.
It's just the new battle in the same war. It's the new battlefront in the same war that used to be movies. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it used to be TV shows, and then before that it was movies, and before that it was radio shows, and before that it was books. We can go all the way back to the tragedy of young Werther.
Yeah, we burned book because they made people do things, right?
Yeah. There was a concern that the tragedy of we have people who claim, and I doubt these claims, to be honest, that there was an epidemic of suicide after the release of Young Werther, the tragedy of Young Werther, back a bajillion years ago. Anyway, we actually do have some real sociological data about this, because we do have real sociological data about crime rates at areas when televisions and movie theaters were introduced.
And you're going to tell me it's less, right?
Yes, correct. Yes. when movie theaters is particularly pronounced, but as movie theaters and television spread, crime rates go down. And so if you're a believer that people imitate what they see in media, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
However, there's something really important here. Which very relevant to us here doing Old Man YAP. What is the most dangerous thing in a given society?
I would say influencers.
Bored young men.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, bored young guys are the most dangerous thing you can have in a society. Bored young guys. If young guys don't have stuff to do, they will create problems. And so,
okay, I see where you're going with the parallel with the video game.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to take a little brief side of that. Part of the reason why movie theaters stand out is that there's also a really interesting correlation between higher temperatures and more crime. But people just seem to be more likely to get into fist fights and kill each other when it's hotter. And when movie theaters, I get annoyed. I get annoyed when I hate being hot. I hate being hot. I'm a winter guy.
Yeah, I can see it in your Pura.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hot and bothered. So when movie theaters were first rolling out, a lot of the time, that was the first time people had access to air conditioners. People would go to the movie theater.
I knew you were about to say they were air conditioned.
Yeah. So anyway, my perspective on this is that I don't, in general, I think that people do, learn things from media, but I don't think they learn, to imitate actions. Because, we've seen it all the time. I grew up playing lots of violent video games, and reading lots of violent adventure books. I don't do any of that stuff. I do calligraphy and debate.
The opposite is actually happening. People being toxic playing League of Legends and kind of having their frustration thrown into that game is actually helping because they're not
that's
throwing that energy on someone else's face instead.
That's a theory. That's a theory. There is a theory.
There's a theory
that's
about it. I see.
That's like a vent kind of concept, right? That you have the anger anyway, and then you release that anger into controlled situations.
Yeah.
Right, like you release the anger into controlled situations, into safer spaces. It's debatable. This is like more of a psychology thing at this point. Once we get into that stuff, and I am less of a psychologist than quite a few other VTubers. I know at least 2 other VTubers who are much more psychologists than me, and I am. There's some difficulty there, because also, like, when you practice having an emotion, that also kind of makes you use it more. Like, there's a kind of interesting, complicated feedback loop here. It's a kind of interesting, complicated feedback loop. That, like, putting things in fictional contexts, either whether it's a violent video game or a violent movie or a movie about a dangerous and upsetting theme, like I like Cronenberg movies. Famous Canadian David Cronenberg makes very disturbing films, and I really do not think we have even a single incident of somebody like getting into car crashes because of the movie Crash, for example. The movie Crash is a very weird and distressing movie about not the 2008 Crash, it's the 1996, I think, 94 Crash. It's about people who are turned on by car crashes, who get excited by car crashes. Yeah, so they're very strange and bizarre people, and it's you see these very strange and bizarre people, and or actually, to talk about another one, Contagion. You know, the much more recent Contagion from the late 2000s, from the 2010s.
Yes.
Kind of gave a lot of people sort of safe space to think about dying of the plague, a thing that may have been relevant in recent memory.
Yes.
And so that doesn't mean that they're going out there trying to spread plague. Like, they're using it as a way to kind of practice how they would deal with these intense emotional situations. And I would, in general, just kind of say that there's always more and less healthy ways of dealing with things. There's always more and less healthy ways of dealing with the same inputs and same outputs. There's always more and less healthy ways of doing it, and I think it's often very difficult to tell which is the one that's the quote-unquote, like, healthy one from the outside. I think it can be very difficult to tell and difficult to make, like, a general prescription. I think I'd generally say that actions speak louder than words, and what matters less is what you consume and more how you treat people in life.
Yeah.
I think that would be like my main one.
But it's still crazy though, because it does mean, because we've been doing it for centuries with just different kind of media, that when it's not going to be about video games, it's going to be about something else. That's the end of the line, right? We are going to blame something for causing something else that has nothing to do with, like, maybe what really is happening. So we should just get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, like a super classic. I mean, the classic one obviously being like rap music, and before there's a point in the past. There's actually some very widely read academic papers that are basically just like some old white dudes losing their minds about jazz music.
Yeah,
like this is the destruction of everything good in the universe is like jazz music. Like,
yeah.
Which was a really interesting one, because the guys who
no, I just thought, like, this is a really interesting kind of take. You know how the vision on the jazz, right, is from that person, that perspective, from that white dude, right? But, like, of course, like, all the jazz culture is not taken into granted. And I'm gonna segue into the next topic, because I thought it's very relevant, and that's something that is on my mind a lot. I've talked about this with other people on how still in the media context, but world media, right? Like how
Yes, I did want to talk about this.
Yes, how the
Yes.
infinite small spectrum of our personal curated media versus the world media that is actually happening every day that you and I and anyone in this chat is ever gonna see ever. But it exists. It is watched by billions, and you'll never know about it. And if it ever slightly come to your attention, you will like not understand much of it. For example, right? Just between you and I consume more Japanese VTubers, right? This is something we talked about.
Absolutely, yeah.
This is my curated media, and like Ms. Janken doesn't see that as much, and as others, right? And this is very like precise. But then I started thinking, you know how like Chinese media, billions of people, Indian media, billions of people.
Yes.
When do I see that? Never, ever.
Yes. And it's interesting. It's interesting. So I was actually prepping for this one earlier today, and I was talking with my dad a little bit about this because I had a specific element of this I think is always kind of interesting. Is we're both living in countries that are major cultural exporters. Japan and the United States are major cultural exporters, but obviously they don't export evenly. Some of American food culture is now and drink culture is now global. Everybody drinks Coca-Cola, right? Everybody eats hamburgers. Unless I've been to Indian McDonald's. They don't have hamburgers.
That's crazy.
They don't.
Really?
They don't.
Oh man, you see, I'm learning this today as an old
oh my
man.
goodness!
I've never heard of that.
If you tried to sell a hamburger at a chain restaurant in India, you would get murdered. You would get murdered.
But wouldn't they have alternative at least?
Yeah, they have chicken burgers.
They have chicken burger, but do they have like the vegan kind of?
They do have some vegetarian. They do have some vegetarian burgers, but yeah, they do have
burger. Okay.
But it's mostly mostly chicken and fish.
You don't eat
beef. Beef is like way.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I could have made that call, of course.
Yeah, if you're in the right parts, they might have. You might be able to get beef ones because like there's still 200 million Muslims in India, but like you like it's chicken is what you see for the most part. It's chicken sandwiches because like as much as like as we tend to associate Hinduism with vegetarianism, but it's a kind of sliding scale of vegetarianism. And like beef is almost always verboten, but chicken is kind of like a lot of castes and caste statuses will eat chicken. And that's not seen as like a true like religious affront to the entire public. Oh yeah, and there's also Kerala. Yeah, Kerala, and Kerala, West Bengal. I don't think West Bengal would be actually I think the most likely because the West Bengalis are. Anyway, that's getting into details.
No, I get it.
Yeah, that's getting into details. But we export this food culture, but one thing we do not export is our beer culture.
Interesting.
America has
beer is kind of meh, but
no. This is my thing. Because you don't live here. You don't fucking live here. I think we have an incredibly robust beer culture.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Industrial, kind of. How can I say the beer that goes out because they are like the biggest. These ones are kind of meh.
We export bad beers. Like that's what I'm getting at. It's like we export bad beers. We don't export good beers. Our good beers are only we get to drink our good beers. Like like I've got Allagash Whites and dog and two hearted ales and Bengalis in my fridge right now, and these are wonderful, amazing beers that. I don't even know if we distribute them to the entire United States. We definitely don't send them overseas.
But the thing is, though, with this, right, is that, yes, like you said, like America and Japan are huge on exporting cultural things, but if the other countries aren't, or if the media format and the media algorithm and all that stuff will never push me, because if I don't speak the language, and that's a big thing I've learned since I live in Japan, I don't know if I'm crazy here, I'm an old man after all, crazy old man, but I think because I'm in Japan and I'm making English content, I've thought, like, is that like making this thing more difficult for me? Am I challenging the algorithm? Like, I know it's a lot more complex than that, right? But I want this world culture to reach me sometime. How can I feel it is so curated nowadays that it will never happen unless I really deeply, seriously, by myself, go and fight like search engine, because search engine, okay, I go on Google, all right, anything, I type in English anything, it gives me like Japanese website. It gives me Japanese website. I'm like, let's say I talk about, like, I don't know, I want to learn about something like in Romania. I don't know, like Romania came in my head, and then it's gonna give me like Japanese website. Like, I'm just like, no, I'm trying to learn something about like another culture. Like, give me as close as possible as we can to like something from what I'm looking for, right?
I have not been a fan of that change to the internet over the years. I have not enjoyed that. That was a change that started happening about 10 years ago. I remember it used to be that you would Google something and you would get whatever, you would get Google's kind of like, there's like one set of Google results for that search. And no matter who you search, no matter where you were searching or how you did the search, if you put in the same words, you would get the same result. And that has not been true for like at least 10 years, and I am not a fan of it, to be honest. It's as a person who like is a researcher, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I don't read it as localization, I just read it as chaos. I just read it as destruction of knowledge is what I read it as. Is just
but
inaccessibility even.
It's exactly, the accessibility, right? It's just like it came from a random topic. This topic came from a random topic I had with someone else. How I was just like realizing how I am ignorant of so many things in the world, and especially its media that is associated with it. That it's sad, because I'm a highly curious person. I love to learn about other cultures, and I want it to reach me somehow, but it's just like at some point my content is like one thing, and I'm like, yo, I am a person, I am much more like complex than just liking VTubers, for example, or liking I click on a Baldur's Gate 3 video the other day, all right, random, right, and then I'm just like, I see only Baldur's Gate, and I'm like, bro, I like a lot of things in my life, and sometimes you know, the algorithm will try to surprise you with a video that you're not used to, just like to test if you're gonna click on it. It's just a test if you're gonna click on it. But it's just like, can I have an option? Just like test me 100%. Like
I still
100%.
First of all, I'm just gonna just kind of remind me of like a 20-ish-year-old article, maybe from The Onion, where it's about a woman who really appreciated that that Amazon knew her better than her husband, and like the Amazon suggestions like gave her like camping gear, and she's like, you know, I've never really been into camping before, but the spontaneity of it surprised me, and it was that's funny for his lightning. Yeah, the food culture in America is also pretty interesting. There's an interesting sub story about the food culture in America and how we export it. But I was actually the thing I didn't even finish my thought on that I thought was kind of interesting. Was like, so you're living in Japan, and Japan has exported a lot of its culture very aggressively and very successfully. But
Japan.
I can think of
Japan.
But some things don't really get exported from Japanese culture.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And notably,
I need a good aspect.
I don't even know if I was like the comedy doesn't really get exported.
Oh yeah, comedy is kind of hard sell here. It's so
Yeah,
deeply rooted into like deep Japanese tradition.
a lot of it is. A lot of
Yeah.
it is. But like, I've watched Rakugo, and I thought it was pretty funny very rapidly. I did not take a lot to sell me on Rakugo as a
Yes,
form.
but
and
I think Japanese
and Manzai we kind of have in America.
they
Like we,
I think they fear. Oh, they're not gonna understand. It's too complicated. They're not gonna understand.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a harder sell in the eyes
maybe.
of Japan to export.
Oh, yeah. That fun story about that. Related to that is, I read a book from a American who lived in Japan and was very good. Like a person who JLPT 1 and then kept living there for 20 years. Kind of like very, very good at Japanese. And one of the things that he found was that Japanese people were very insecure about oh my god, how did I forget the name of this? The poetry style.
Haiku.
Haiku. They're very insecure about haiku.
Ah.
They're very, very insecure about haiku. And after a while, Japanese people would ask him if he understood haiku. And he would respond to this based on how much he liked the person and how he wanted them to respond. If he liked the person or he wanted to impress this Japanese person, wanted to get on their good side, he would say, "Oh no, there's no way a Hakjin could understand haiku. It's far too complicated for us." And if he wanted to insult them, he would say, "Oh yeah, absolutely."
These things are so complicated, though.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember him describing, like, sometimes he would say, "Oh yeah, no, haiku's not that big of a deal," and seeing people's faces just fall.
there's this illusion. This is now focusing more on Japan, but I always say, and especially since I live here and I've been experimenting it, Japan is a culture of illusion. The smoke and mirror, right? Smoke and mirror expression that is very highly associated with Japan. It's it's all that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
it's
definitely what you just said.
Yeah, and I think that it's definitely a form of self-flattery.
Yes.
To believe that
even if it's not true.
Yeah. I mean, we all have our delusions, right? We all have our delusions about ourselves. I'm not going to say any of them here because that's never a good conversation. That's a bad conversation to be having. But yeah, we've all got these kind of internal delusions about ourselves, and what we're good at, what we're bad at, etc., etc. And the the Japanese have a kind of generally a broad cultural kind of thing that haikus, over and above all of the other art forms that Japan produces, haikus are substantially more difficult for foreigners to understand.
Yes. I love haiku.
Yeah.
I wrote some haiku. And there are some people that believe that it's so complicated they have to adapt it to the Western style. And I've read a lot of books, actually. I don't read a lot of books in general, but I love haiku and I've read a lot about haiku. And yes, they make it. And to be honest, like, we're trying to make it probably too difficult, I think. I think we're just trying to make it special, like, because, like, it's so complicated, so we have to make it complicated. I think the essence of the haiku, deep down inside, can be very simplified, but we don't want to say it. But the craziest thing, and I just want to bring it back a little bit, how come we're here talking about haiku as if it reached us easily? Like, and meanwhile, all these other cultural things from other places, they haven't. Because, like, I live in Japan now, so obviously, and I've been interested, obviously, and you've been interested in Japan, obviously.
Yeah.
but because it was sold to us at some point, right?
Mhm.
So the haiku idea, same thing, right? Someone decided that like it would reach English audiences. Because it didn't have to, and a lot of Japanese people, like it just said, probably would have preferred not to, but it did. It did, and that part is where I'm like, okay, tinfoil hat, everyone, tinfoil hat. Put your tinfoil hat on. Someone has decided and controlled that I get to learn about that. Someone who, like, in their interest of what culture I get to know about, and that I finally get like more easily my hands on it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
Culture are just like easier to reach than like others because of interest. Tinfoil hat.
Well, it's always so. There's so many interesting variables in this, right? There's so many interesting variables because haiku hits the English language market largely as kind of like a 50s thing. Like, which is well before Japan is like a cultural titan that is doing so much exporting. It's back in the bad old days.
You might actually know more than me. I'm surprised you go with the haiku knowledge. Let's go.
Yeah, well, it's the bad old days. Well, because the Americans who got into it were the beat poets.
Yes. I remember that. I remember that movement. I've actually. Did I ever told you I had some art classes?
Not specifically. But
I did some literature and cinema in college, and I had like art history and all that jazz.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, and it's. Yeah, I did not actually. I don't actually have like any art history backing. It's actually interesting how segregated art history is out from other parts of history. Be like people ask me art history questions. I'm like, I have no idea, my friend. I have no idea. But yeah. So like, there's some of it's really chaotic like that, right? Some of it's really chaotic, and then there's this kind of more complicated thing where there's also. This is more to your tinfoil hat thing. This is more going towards your tinfoil hat. There's more credibility on this front. Is there's an intention, there's a strategy of cultural export.
Yeah.
There's a strategy to it. And different countries adopt different strategies. So
the soft
Thailand,
power, right? You're talking about soft power here, right? We're doing the politic things. But yeah, soft power.
Yeah, but you know, Thailand has a famous thing of Thai gastro diplomacy.
Wow, Breeze, you saw it coming a mile away. You did
not
even finish that sentence. It's in chat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, called shot. And the thing is, like, there's not a lot of reason why other countries couldn't do it. Right? Like, there's not really any particular reason why Vietnam couldn't do it, why Nigeria couldn't do it, or Somalia, or Lebanon. There are countries where I can think of good reasons why they don't do it, and the big ones would be countries like Italy and Mexico, where they're already exporting it so successfully without doing an intentional program that it would be kind of wasted resources. But you know, Thailand has a deliberate government program of funding and assisting Thai people moving overseas and making restaurants in foreign countries.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's actually not the craziest one to me. The craziest.
I mean, I'm sure, but I never heard of that before. Right now.
Yeah. Gastrodiplomacy is a deliberate program, and again, pretty much any country could do this that has confidence in their cuisine. And based on my experience of having eaten a lot of different cuisines, I think most countries have cuisines that are pretty good.
Oh yeah, I think for sure.
Yeah, I don't think that there's something unique. Choco Rain, it depends a lot on the countries to and from. It would depend a lot on the countries to and from. Yeah, it would depend a lot, and as far as I know, that is actually part of what makes the Thai program work, is that the Thai government helps you find suppliers for for
Wow.
like the curry sauces, right? That you need. And so again, it would depend a lot on the culture and the ingredients involved, like which country you're going to and from. And again, like but most countries don't opt to do that. Thailand is outstanding and unusual in that. Korea also has a very deliberate program of exporting culture.
Yeah, but
And
I said the name earlier, Cool Japan. It's
Japan also very
it's the actual program. I don't know if it's still going to this day, but that was the big one. So basically, it all depends if the place sell their sell. Yeah, they'll sell. It ends up money if they sell their culture.
Yeah, and
that's the thing, right?
Well, this is something I'd really be interested in knowing from like. It would definitely require somebody who's like who knows a lot of things that I don't know.
We're just yapping here. We're just yapping.
Yeah, like I need somebody who knows something like really in depth. Is why do given country like what's the strategy that different countries use? Like what goes through the heads of whichever Japanese minister it is that looks at Japanese film and goes, okay, isekais and horror films, these ones are worth like going out of our way to export. But like comedies and action films,
I wonder if it's that in depth. If like
I wonder. I having worked with some government agents, like people who are like advisors to senators. Now, people tend to think I'm talking about things that are much sexier than that. I'm talking about guys who like write really boring reports and like legislate. Yes. Like, you can meet these guys easily. Like they're all over the place. Having talked to some of them, like oh my god, there's so many nerds. There's so many nerds, and in a country as rich as Japan, like they've got guys doing this. They've got to have guys who are doing this, but like. What goes into the decision-making process? What are they thinking? What do they just look at things that have like organically succeeded and then like do it like we just need to follow up and double down on this? That would be the most obvious.
I think
that's the most obvious to me.
I think the same way, it's as simple as the same way as when I was talking about YouTube algorithm. They tested it. They test probably at the beginning. They sent everything or a bit of everything, right? And they stick shit. And saw like what like stick on the wall, and probably like cute anime girls being cute, like, oh, this one is good, all right, we're gonna do a lot of anime with cute girls, and then like, oh, it's like 90% now, just that, oh, it's okay, that's what make money. But what's interesting with that, when you say people are thinking about like what to send and what not to send, so the reason, for example, I say India a lot because I know the scene on YouTube is insane in India.
Yeah.
The reason it doesn't reach me is probably somewhere between the lines of YouTube algorithm is not like sending it to me, plus India is not pushing it to reach me either. Is that it? Is that why? Like the world media is not reaching me because people are not trying to?
It is, well, because like I think about this a little bit because occasionally I've gotten weird results. I've gotten some weird ones in the past. So my experience with TikTok, at a personal level, I haven't really done anything with my professional TikTok other than make sure that nobody else gets the name.
Yes.
I need to start posting because I've actually been editing shorts. I need to do this stuff. I'm being a bad content creator.
Terrible.
I'm being a bad content creator.
But not there.
What my TikTok on my personal algorithm when I've never really been a big TikToker, but most of what I got was rural Chinese TikTok.
Interesting. But it's because you probably spent like 10 seconds more than all the other video at a Chinese something at some point, and now they're like, okay, well, that's it. He likes China.
I think that there's a very realistic possibility that it was an even smaller germ there, which is that the first TikToks that people sent me were like guys in rural China playing pranks on each other.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Like,
You are set that moment, and now like you're gonna be stuck with that unless like you always skip on those and you start like watching something else.
The good news is that, as far as I can tell, I've got a great TikTok on that front. Like this is great content as far as I'm concerned. Watching guys,
but maybe you do like it, right?
I do like it. I do like it. So it really helps. Like, I know people who hate their TikToks. For example,
like you wanted something else. If you wanted more of something else, you would need to stop watching those because otherwise the system is going to be like, well, we're just going to send that because you love that. But maybe it is more just the algorithm.
it might be that, and it's been interesting to see the changes in algorithms over the years. So like if you talk to YouTubers, you learn about this quite a bit because there's a lot of I like the phrase Kremlinology. I like that phrase quite a bit.
Did you see Kremlinology? Huh?
Kremlinology.
Okay.
As in like the Kremlin, as in it's a phrase that was originally
okay.
It's originally a Soviet Union term.
Yeah, I just realized what you were talking about.
Yeah, for when you do a ton of guessing. And like you rely on experimental, almost superstitious ideas about what social conduct is. So there's actually a really good example from TikTok, which is the word unalive.
Okay.
So people have done tests on this. People have done like rigorous scientific testing on this. The TikTok algorithm does not suppress you if you use the word kill.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's widely believed that it does. People have tested it a lot. It doesn't.
Interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't. That is a total urban legend. And that's a piece of Kremlinology. And so YouTube has a similar thing where like YouTube censorship, they don't tell you crap about why they're censoring you. I recently saw a VTuber get smacked with a copyrighted music on a video that was just her voice, just her talking with no background music, and that's insane, right? Like the completely insane stuff that just gives you this intense sense of bad prediction and that's this terrifying sense of like complicated bad prediction and stuff like that. And YouTube has had this broad thing over the years, right, where there was a period where the YouTube algorithm favored multi-hour long video essays. And there was a period before then where it would suppress your video essay if it was over 15 minutes. And so people who make YouTube video essays as like their main content, they're constantly on the lookout for these small shifts in the algorithm around length. And yeah, Ms. Janken, it is part of TikTok culture, right? It is now part of TikTok culture that saying unalived is a way of demonstrating familiarity and savviness to other TikTok users. The TikTok itself doesn't give a shit. The TikTok, the company, doesn't give a shit. Which is interesting, right? It's interesting that that's how that coursed out. But yeah, there's we as users on this are now intensely worried about that, and I forgot where I was going with this, other than to say that there are changes in the algorithm over time. There are big changes in the algorithm over time, and one of the changes that was really striking to me over the last 10 years was that, I would say it was about 10 years ago. About 10 years ago, YouTube had a sense
10 years ago, YouTube was completely like something else. It was just, to me, 10 years ago, YouTube was like nothing of what YouTube is today. No?
Yeah. It's very different, very different. I was going to talk about one of the big differences. This was true probably from starting about 10 years ago up until maybe 5 years ago is when I noticed that this tendency I'm about to mention kind of died. Which is that the YouTube algorithm used to really push conservative political commentary.
Oh, we're going political.
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep into this, but it was something that was noticed a lot. That in your suggestions, in your next video suggestions, there would almost inevitably be a very conservative political video.
Interesting.
And not just in the sense like everything is political. I mean like a Ben Shapiro video, like a Ben Shapiro video. Not just like normal right-wing political, but like fringe right-wing politics. And the hypothesis that I saw for a long time was that there was a category of viewer. There was a type of guy in the world, just a type of guy who would sit and watch YouTube videos for like 15 hours straight. And these guys were interested in conservative conspiracy theories. And you could get these guys to watch moon landing conspiracy theories and with all the ads for like 15 hours, and those were identified by YouTube because YouTube is trying to get you to watch ads. It's like, oh, there's something here it's something about these videos. It's something about these videos that we can get more people to be like this. And it turns out that it didn't play out the way they wanted, and they've changed the algorithm. And I no longer live in profound fear of getting like somebody like trying to somebody ranting about the election at me every time I watch a YouTube video. I pretty much get mostly videos that make sense to me, that are coherent to me.
But they still exist.
That's a change. They still exist. They're still happening.
I've heard.
They're just not as pushed.
Where was it? I was watching Ludwig. I don't watch him like a lot, but sometimes he has things to say. And he was talking on how statistically, yes.
Yes.
Live stream is being very, how can I say, on YouTube, the numbers are fake, quote, quote. Because there are those people who runs like infinite live stream, and there are apparently a lot of conservative like pre-recorded video that have like QR code on them to like prompt people like to do action whatever, but of course it's just a scam and they steal all of your money. But like you know, like having Elon Musk like for 24/7 like do it like on his speeches kind of thing, and then there's a QR code like as a scam. And apparently like these video exists, are not taken down, and they are screwing the all the numbers on like how live streaming is actually like working or not on YouTube. So I think the format exists, it's just changed, but maybe because the algorithm, the way it works now, they don't reach us, but they clearly reach some people.
Yeah. It's and I mean that's one of those things about this the whole like world of content creation, right? Like I do wonder like who thinks that the stuff I consume is completely insane and incoherent. I think that we as VTuber watchers, like we know that this is a thing that occurs. Like just contextually, recently Iron Mouse became the most subscribed Twitch streamer ever.
Yes, I know exactly where we're going. Yes.
And I could go into the comments on that, and there would be like half a dozen people being like, "Who the hell is this person?"
Yes.
Like, who the hell is this person? Who are who's watching this?
Yeah,
and it's
literally their mind shattered. Like, how is that a thing? How are people watching that? How is that possible? It's just like literally their mind were broken, and they were, some people even angry because on how like they couldn't comprehend on how this was a thing, and because especially like to the regular streamer format, that was yes, I've seen that going, and it was a thing, and it was literally one of those moments where usually the content don't reach them, but like it goes viral to the point it reached everybody, and everybody is not ready for that content.
And it's a thing that like I think goes in like every direction, right? Like I definitely know who Iron Mouse is. I frequently say that Iron Mouse is the Michael Jordan of VTubers. And but on the other end of it, like I'll be like going through Twitter or something, and then they'll quote somebody who I follow quotes somebody who's saying something stupid, right?
Yes.
And then it's like, this person has like 18 million followers on Instagram, and I've never heard of them.
Yes.
I thought this was just like some guy. I thought this was just like a guy
you
who just like had like a normal blue collar job, and like
you thought you got one guy.
I thought it was just like I thought we were talking about the opinions of some just like regular blue collar dude hanging out, who's got a kind of dumb opinion. And no, they're like a super mega influencer, and I'm like, and I've never heard of them. I've never heard of them. And this actually gets, I guess, to like a broader thing when we're talking about this whole algorithm thing about the atomization and splintering of mass media. And an example I love was, you know, I'm a New Yorker, and
yes,
the Nets, the New York Nets, are our basketball team, and they were going to an away game, and some journalists, you know, this is the thing that you do when you're a sports journalist, is, you know, you go to the locker room and you wait outside the locker room because it's kind of rude to be inside there, and you ask the people as they're leaving the locker room a question.
Yes,
and they ask these guys. These are young men who are very culturally connected. They know lots of people because they're culturally important. They're hip. They're cool. They're the cool guys, right? Because they're pro basketball players. And this journalist asked them, "What's your favorite Taylor Swift song?"
Okay.
One guy had an answer out of the entire team.
Yeah.
One guy actually had an answer. Most of the guys could not name a Taylor Swift song.
Yeah.
One guy named a wrong song, and one guy couldn't name a song, but was from the same town as her and talked about it.
Yeah,
because he was a nerd about it.
I'm gonna add to that, and I hope she does. She's not gonna be mad. She's not gonna be mad. I live with a Swiftie.
Okay, yeah.
I live with a Swiftie, and I don't know anything about Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it's genuinely kind of interesting, right? And you know, we talked. We're old men, but older men than us.
Shit, she does good.
Janken, you didn't have to do that. You could have pretended that you guys had another roommate. You could have just pretended you had another roommate. I would have believed it. But the older men than us remember a day when every person in North America knew several Beatles songs by heart. Even people who didn't like the Beatles, right? Like, everybody had this kind of opinion, and that's not true anymore. And it's a thing that, like, yeah, the monoculture thing. That's kind of where I'm going up. Is the splintering and the shattering of the monoculture.
Yes.
And the big monocultural element, I guess, it has been interesting to watch it kind of fall apart, because I remember a particular amount of hand-wringing over the end of Game of Thrones.
Okay, yeah.
The Game of Thrones was the TV show that you could...
I know everything about it.
Yeah, you could. Well, the important part was, like, you could talk to anybody in your office. You know, you work at your job and you show up, and everybody's seen the most recent episode.
Not everybody. But I get what you mean.
Yeah. And there's not really been a show since then. And it was kind of interesting that people were really upset about the fact that, like, that's the last time they're really going to have that experience. And it is very interesting that everybody kind of knew when Game of Thrones was ending that there wasn't going to be a replacement show. That I thought was interesting. That everybody could smell. Everybody could smell the blood in the water. The rots, I should say, not the blood, the rots. That there's something gangrenous going on. Because you watched all of Game of Thrones. You said, right? You said you didn't know everything.
Yes.
How did you feel about that last season?
I like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It felt like it had nothing to do with everything you watched like prior.
Yeah. It felt like a betrayal, and it made me feel vindicated about my opinion about media. That is the worst opinion about media from a economics perspective.
So are
That I
you
think is
saying, and that's kind of crazy, are
yeah.
you kind of maybe saying that it could be that this was the start of monoculture, of like how things are very now, how can I say, targeted like precisely for that one thing, that like you it reach you but everything else doesn't?
I don't know. I think that monoculture is a thing that I would actually say that monoculture kind of comes and goes.
I see. Because
Monoculture
right
kinda comes
now it's true, and it's just like a continuation of where we started. This clearly doesn't help on me being able to see like other things like from other cultures, like the sense that like it is so targeted, and then we don't see anything else. And
yeah, it does create
even if it's huge, like you said, right? There was this one guy. You thought you get one guy. You never heard of that guy. Cannot be popular. Like cannot have 18 million subs. Never heard of him. Like it's impossible. How? And then it happens to me too. I gotta say, it's just like out of nowhere. It's like, who's this? And then like, what? How come? It never reached me. They are so huge. It's yeah.
Yes, it's Breeze kind of hits it. I think is my kind of hypothesis is that monocultures I think kind of come and go, and I think broadcast media is very important for them. I think broadcast media is very, very important for creating them. You have a couple of things that you can use to kind of create them, right? There's a very famous book relevant to your history called Peasants into Frenchmen.
Okay. Well, I mean,
and
my history, it depends. Like, I don't really identify as a Frenchman.
That's fair.
I'm
That's fair.
French.
You speak French.
Yeah. But I really, French people and Quebec people, not very like hand in hand. Just so you know.
That's true.
They left us in this frozen, wasted land. That's kind of not cool. We kind of not like them. No, but that's not true, right? Like it's just like historically.
And so during World War I, the French army, functionally everybody in the French army spoke French. This was not true of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. An Austro-Hungarian officer had to speak like 12 languages just to be able to like operate, and that was a significant weakness of the army. The majority of French people speaking French was not a like naturalistic outcome of like the France that had been inherited. It was a deliberate program in the late 19th century to get more and more people to speak French, and also to suppress regional languages like Occitan and Breton and stuff like that. It was a deliberate program to create a more monolithic French culture, and you can do this, man. Yeah, broadcast media can help you with this, but an enforced school system, an enforced literary education system, those things can also help kind of create this, and it can be really complicated, right? It can be really, really complicated. A lot of stuff that I did research on was about this, in not either an American or Japanese or French context, in another context. And one of the things I really remember was there's a lot of predictions. I've read many, many books from the 50s and 60s about how the spread of television is going to destroy non-English speaking culture.
Oh yeah. You gotta understand the fear of the language thing. It's one of the strongest tool that exists to Okay, I will finish my sentence here, but I just want everyone to know we had like really like cute, cozy little topics like fall and fall food, like how
I'm down
heartwarming,
for
and
that.
then we're like,
Yeah.
no, let me tell you my bit on how languages is actually the strongest like political tool that like
It's a critical
that
political
like a
tool. It's a
country
critical
can
political
have.
tool.
So
Yeah.
I can see
Yeah.
the fear, of course, because as a Quebecois, right? You
Yeah.
cannot like have this topic and me being like, bro, I understand. I'm Quebecois. We have the French police. Like,
Yeah. You got to have. Yeah. English
get
does
the
not have a
fear
language
of
police.
losing a language. Like, probably not a lot of people. Like, as an American, have you ever had the fear of losing English? Like, maybe, but like not the same level.
I mean, it's interesting in America,
Yeah,
right?
it's different, right?
It's different. It's different because there's been for most of my life there has been people who express a fear that everybody's going to speak Spanish sooner rather than later. And the truth of the matter is that they've come across as incredibly embarrassing cranks the entire time I've been alive.
Yes.
I'm just gonna cut
That's
to the
what I'm
chase.
saying. It's very different. There was an actual, real fear of losing French when we were completely in control by the English, the UK. There was an actual real feel. Now, nowadays, it's still used, as a tool that like people are afraid to lose it, which is not entirely possible, but it's just nowadays it's more of a tool. But it was an actual real thing that was a challenge that was definitely there to conserve it, right? But yeah, man. Where we haven't done this for a long time. Like, you know what? We have some heavy shit like we want to talk about. Let's go. But yes, languages, man, we could have a whole episode just to talk about languages and this various topic about languages. It's one of my
It's such an obvious. Well, I mean, it's such an obvious one to lean into, right? Because I've got this sociological, anthropological background, and you're talking to me in your second language while living in a country that speaks your third language.
I know, it's crazy when I think about
it.
it.
You're very far away from your first language in this conversation. So to me, it feels like it's just always present, right? It feels very present to me, and I always like to say this little thing that I always find kind of fun. I live in New York, right? And I worked a white collar job where I would say that upwards of, depending on where I was in the office, upwards of a third of the people in my office spoke French.
Oh, I think you did mention. Yes, I remember.
Yep.
It's okay. It's so funny. It happened 3 times today, and this is peak old man YAP. Oh yeah, I remember. Like we talked about.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. And just to like clarify for people, because often people get really surprised at this. 0 of them were from France or from Quebec.
Yes.
They're predominantly Haitian and West African. Like.
Yeah, French is talking a lot of countries. People
a lot of countries
don't even think about.
Well, a lot of countries that you don't think about. It's the lingua franca of Senegal, and much of West Africa, and it's and so to me, languages it's very obvious that like we would want to talk about language, right? I'd really want to talk about it, especially because I speak I have poor Japanese, so it's fun. It's fun to talk with you about it. I've got poor Japanese, and so I enjoy that. I enjoy that, especially because I often talk to people. This is a VTuber thing, right? We're actually gonna get into like a VTuber cultural thing. In VTuber culture, Japanese is a kind of fetishized language.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of the motherland, It's like it's where it's all really like. I know, like there was like kind of a similar VTubers even before, like Japan, like kind of like made it boom, but in a way, it's like You could say that about like cartoon before anime, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
but yes,
But like
definitely.
I speak limited. I speak this. I've got this kind of limited Japanese. You know, I've got this pretty limited.
あ、そうですね。
Pretty limited.
I
So-
mean,
so that-
I'm not great either, to be honest. Like I'm at an elementary level, but complex sentences is not something like I can easily do.
Yeah, I've got this kind of limited Japanese, and but because it's such a fetishized skill among VTubers, this can lead to people thinking that it's very impressive that I have a Japanese vocabulary of, I don't know, maybe 1,000 or so kanji. And that's like my strong. That's my strong part. That's my strong part.
That's not too bad.
It's not too bad,
You
but
can,
like
you can go somewhere with that.
it's definitely stronger than like my ability to like use Japanese grammar.
Yeah.
You know, like my actual practical Japanese is quite a bit weaker than my ability to like crudely decipher the broad meanings of a bunch of different kanji. And because I'm a nerd and who likes kanji is what it is. I just like studying kanji. But like because I can kind of string together a sentence because of that, and a lot of people in VTubing will learn like 5 words of Japanese. They find it very impressive that I know like a few hundred words of Japanese. And so it's nice to be around somebody who. It makes me feel weird, and then I feel, but it makes me feel a little bit more sane being around somebody who speaks much better Japanese than me. It makes me feel a little bit more like
faking it. I'm good at faking it. I'm really good at like voice control. The same way that I kind of kill completely, but some people still hear it. My Quebec accent.
I can hear your Quebec accent. I'm sorry.
I know, but it's because you've never heard someone who's like really like a Frenchman, like when they speak English and they have like a very thick accent. I know I still remain with an accent, but I don't have like the typical kind of heavy accent in a way. And like in the same way of like when I replicate Japanese, I can like sound like I know what I'm saying, like without sounding watashi wa janken desu, you know.
Brutal.
Yes. I said that in a Quebec Japanese. Watashi wa. But I want to do something. I am in control here, and we're shifting that car. We're shifting that car like 180 because that's something I want us to do before like we go too deep in the language. Because you brought something today, and I wanted to do that because we even talked about that pre-stream. Someone brought question to you. Someone brought question to you for us, and I was like, that's actually fun. I actually enjoy that. And then I want you guys to know, even before we end, we're gonna repeat it probably at the end, but me and Al, we agreed that next time, probably at the end of November, like we try to do this like
we want it to be once a month. Once a month. Worth saying, we need to coordinate about November because the second to last weekend of November is American Thanksgiving, which is one of like the only holidays I actually respect.
Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk about that. But no matter, the next one is gonna be a Q&A. It's going to be a Q&A.
We want some Q&A. We want some Q&A
edition. Yes. So I'm going to enable. I'm going to enable like the YouTube Q&A even before the stream. So if you guys like have question, even before, you can drop them. You have question during the stream, you can drop them, and we, as long as you don't ask like my address or Al's.
There's we will veto anything that is too doxed.
Exactly. Or it is like maybe a bit too much. So we want to do that, and I think you guys write a lot during those during our Omen Yap. So I think there will be participation. I don't think we're going to be running out of question. I'm going to tell Nando to do it because he's not here because he has some stuff today. But usually you really like to participate. So yeah. So next time it's going to be your time to ask us. So if you want like all the experience and wisdom and educated opinion and answer from two older gentlemen, right? Now will be the time. Like if you're struggling with issues or with life, I mean, to a level like where I'm well, I can talk to myself, but I'm not a therapist. So and you're I don't. Where you? I think you talked about that once about therapy.
I talk about it. I've said it many times because just because you put yourself in this position, right. You put yourself in this position as being more experienced and than other people, and as listening to people and like enjoying to listening to people, and eventually people will start asking you some things that you're not qualified to answer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I meant. Right? Like I'm making some jokes here, but like if you have actually real life problems, please seek an actual expert.
That's actually, I mean, from a content creation, I actually have there's a place that's kind of interesting on that, which is Mabim My Brother and Me. Was a talk show. I think they're still going, of the McElroy brothers, and they would take questions from the audience, and they did not do a good enough job pre-screening, if you ask me, of their questions. Sometimes they would get questions that were like a little bit too intense, and they instituted a no downers rule. And I take this as a cautionary story because the no downers rule kind of metastasized into a sort of toxic positivity in the fandom. That is, I think it's why we need to be kind of careful about like.
Yes. No. I understand. What I mean,
we can't answer questions of a certain caliber.
Like, I'm not saying like don't be negative, right? But I'm saying if you have actual like things that would require an expert answer, then you should also seek the expert, the consultation.
We focus on the therapy side, but also this probably also applies to like electrical engineering questions.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you want me to make your taxes, like, or if you have a question about your taxes, like I don't want you to be in trouble.
I have a very straightforward answer about handling taxes, which is I pay $100 to an accountant to handle it for me, and it is worth it. It is.
Bjorn, it's next time. Chill with the question. We have some prepared already.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and check the question that you receive, and we can maybe go through?
It was a multi-part question. But I think we can start with one of the. There's multiple questions really, which was kind of interesting. So, do you think the two of you would get along if you were stranded on an island together?
That is a good question.
That's a good question.
Just the two of us, right?
Just the two of us, yeah.
Okay.
No Miss Janken.
No, that's it. No cats either, unfortunately.
No cats, no Nando.
Yeah. Yeah, he's always behind me. On a deserted, like, see how already I am very analytical just of the question. That you would have probably to deal with. I always like need that analytical time. So
I am actually inclined to answer relatively positively. I think pretty likely. Mostly, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to toot my own horn here a little bit. I think I get along with people pretty easily. I think I'm a relatively difficult to antagonize person. I actually had an incident recently where somebody antagonized the heck out of me. And I had to kind of go through the list of like all of the people who have made me like really upset over the course of my life. And as out of tens of thousands of people that I've met, this was the first person who was actually so rude to me they made me angry.
Oh.
Ever in my entire life. Nobody else has ever done that until now. The other people who have antagonized me have done it by being rude or mean to other people. This was the first time somebody did that. So it was like 5 people. Like it was like 5 people in my entire life that I was like, I just do not like this person.
Okay, so mean.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, but I think I really have shut my mouth about the Swiftie things because Ms. Janken came with a vengeance saying Triquestion Janken would not get along with anyone on a deserted island. Ouch. I will be honest about my personality. I will be honest about my personality. I wouldn't be mean. I, however, have a strong leader persona. I like to control things, and I like things to make sense, at least as a cumulative mind. Like, you know, if we had like to work on a project, right? I would like things like that we do like together, right? Like if we do something, because survival is important, and I believe a lot in communication. So if you like, you know, went ahead and like did your own thing, and like it could like maybe jeopardize because I was unaware of like that something happened, then maybe I could be like a bit unnerved about like, hey, like it's really important that like, because I'm very honest, I'm very vocal. And I would definitely be like, we really need like to do this like together, and we can't just like do our own things or that kind of things, right? I don't think I'm mean, and I don't think like I would get on your nerve like that person, like that was mean to you. But I'm very serious, and but then when the survival hit, probably I would be like more focused on that than like being like as serious and professional, because sometimes you don't have time for fanciness, and like because I don't like to say it like that, but I like things well done, detailed, that kind of things. Like if something is worth doing, it's worth doing well. It is something I believe. But then like it takes a little bit the trash, like when it's a survival. Perfectionist maybe, but it's a weird perfectionist. I'm perfectionist in the things that I believe in and I want to that I think that are important. I'm not a perfectionist in everything. So I know that I am not an easy person to be. Wow, I am so self-critical, man. You're a weird self-discovery question. So as long as you can handle with this type of personality, then we would get along well. I can personally get along with anyone. I do not have like pet peeves or anything on anything. I genuinely think as long as you're a good person with a good heart and good intention, then I can get along with everyone. As long as someone can endure me.
Okay. This is kind of interesting. So,
have you been in a situation like that where someone who's like, I don't want to say it, but like a bit of a control freak?
Yeah. Yeah, I've lived with roommates for pretty much my entire life. Sorry, I got a weird DM. I have pretty much always had roommates, and I find that the golden roommate is not either super fastidious or super uh, Slavish. You want them to be within a few degrees of you. And so I have learned that I am neither exceptionally clean nor exceptionally dirty.
Oh, well,
I have had
but
roommates who are much further along those axes than me on both ends. I appear to be somewhat more along the clean end of the spectrum.
I'm a bit the opposite.
Oh, so you're a control freak who's also sloppy.
Yes, like I said.
Ooh, dangerous combination. Dangerous combination. That's a.
It's because I'm a control freak for the things that I think are very important, and I've never valued an overly clean. Yeah, you can see, Janken, come on. You can see the aspect like of my shop. Like I don't like right now. The chat's kind of hiding it, right? It's kind of control chaos. Yeah. He's not sure. He's not buying it. But
skeptical might be the word. Skeptical might be the word.
So I like I said, like for the things that are important, I like being in the know and being in I'm not a control freak in the sense that like do this, do that. Right? It's more like I need to know everything. I need to understand everything. I need to be part of the process. And
so you hate mystery. You hate mystery.
I'm actually not a big fan. Oh my God, there's such a self-discovery and self showing. I actually don't like gift a lot.
Don't like what a lot?
Gift.
Oh, getting gifts.
Present.
Okay,
present.
Yeah. I don't either. But I think on probably different grounds. I think on probably different. My grounds are that I'm like a horrible people pleaser. I'm a total people pleaser, and I am I get very upset by the idea that I owe somebody something and I can't give it to them.
I see.
The when I get gifts from somebody else, I'm very bad at selecting gifts for other people. And so I feel obligated to get somebody something of matching thoughtfulness, and I feel unequipped.
Yes,
completely different. I feel unequipped for it. I feel like I've been given a burden that I cannot meet. I feel like I've been put on. I feel like getting a gift makes me feel like I've been put in an exam for a class I missed.
You would hate. Yeah. I bring back Japan always.
I would lose my mind.
Culture in Japan, and again, apparently today is the day where I involve Ms. Janken a lot. There was something really funny. I think she doesn't mind if I say it. If she does, like she should stop me right now. She was stuck in a loop of gift giving with one of her coworker, and the other coworker had to be like, "This has to stop. You accept my gift, and you do not give me something back."
Yeah.
that was so funny. The same thing as what you just described, I think, right?
Oh yeah, it's dangerous. I'm very grateful for a strategy, a tool I learned from a Japanese friend about gifts, which is consumable gifts.
Yes, they do that.
Because I find Christmas super stressful because I get stressed out about this, and I definitely come by it honestly because my mom is very stressed out about what to get me for Christmas, and has been since I was little. And I'm always like, I don't really need anything. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. And that is the worst answer you can give to a huge Christmas fan. And I have since learned that the answer I should have been giving is, I would like some chocolate, and when I was older, some beer. Those are what I would like.
Okay.
Chocolate, beer, whiskey, uh, snacks. Those are much better gifts to give me because then I don't have to worry. Like, even if they're things, the big problem is like if I want something,
Ah.
I just buy it.
Ah.
Right? Like if I want something, if I need something, I should say, I just get it. Like I don't wait for somebody else to get it for me. That sounds insane to me. That's
Yeah,
insane. That's insane. If I'm out of socks, I'm just gonna get my socks. Like I'm not gonna live without
I
socks.
understand
Like,
that. And my problem in that is that, like you, I do that. If I want something, if I need something, I get it, right?
Yeah.
And then the things that I don't get is because they're too expensive. And then you can't just be like, yeah, what I want, yeah, it's this and that, and just like you look at the price tag and it's like can't really like being like I suggesting that as a gift. We're kind of going like away from the question, but it's we're kind of learning about a bit of each other, because if we were stuck on an island, like we would have to deal with that. Like we would have to deal with like our deepest like kind of personality. You're stuck surviving with someone, so definitely, and especially in this environment, everything comes out. Like I don't think like you can, like a roommate, right? You can be in your cave, in your room, and you don't share with the other person. But when it's survival and you're quote unquote stuck, there's no escape from other people, then definitely all those things, all the things comes out, I think.
Yeah.
So to answer the question, I think for the sake of survival, we are both smart enough and we would find a way. So yes, I think we could get along because we probably would be able to see the big picture.
Well, I think like so I think a factor here that I think helps us is that we got this question. We also got a variation on it about camping, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
I think it's valuable about both of these compared to what I think is a big stressor, and particularly a big stressor for you, Janken, is that there's a lot of space. I think that I think that being able to physically separate would make it a lot easier. I think that if we were trapped in if we were put in one of those NASA experiments where they put people in like one room for 500 days and stuff like that, like on a spaceship kind of situation, I think that'd be tougher. I think that would be tougher.
100%.
For us. I think that both of us. I think that particularly for your peccadillos,
I need my alone time. 100%.
Yeah, and I'm pretty easygoing about that. If you tell me like, hey man, I just need like 2 days. I'm like, yeah, cool man. I'll go to the other side of the island.
Crazy social battery though. Don't get me wrong. I like people are just like, I don't really answer to my DM because I'm socially drained. Like I can go running like nonstop. Like my social battery is very, very high, but you know, I do need some time that will be alone. Like, so when I say that, it's not like every day I need my alone time. It's just like I will reach a point where I probably need it. But I think you would need it a lot more than me.
Maybe I'm pretty well. The thing is, like, I'm pretty good about just getting it when I need it. Like, I don't have a lot of trouble just like going for a walk or something like that. I'll just go and do it. The thing that will drive you nuts about me is that I will also just do things. Right? I will also just do things. I'll just start mopping and cleaning the floor. I will just start cooking. And you, like you said, you're a control freak.
But
and you'll be like,
wait. It depends.
You'll be like, where's the broom?
It depends.
Yeah.
When I say I'm a control freak, it's really like for things that I think I should be involved. Like I don't know, like we're gonna build a like an habitat, like that will involve like both of us. But if you go on and you positively with positive effect, like clean the floor, and I haven't like had take on it. Like there are levels where I'm like, hey, whatever. So I'm a weird control freak. I'm in some ways, sometime like I wouldn't care, but in bigger things that I think I should have been involved, then I'm like, I would be like, why would I not be?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, Miss Janken just came here to listen to some old men, and she had some interesting insights about gender and violence earlier, and now her husband is just destroying her.
No, but
just shredding her.
I do think I am not an easy person. I do think I'm not an easy person, but like I said, if it was a camping trip, right? Like you said, unlike surviving, if it's surviving, bro, like my brain would shift. I'm a survivor. I grew up with not a lot, and I know how to get by and rough moment, and doing things not because you want to, but because you have to. Like I can flip that switch, and who I am now would probably change a lot.
Yeah,
but
I guess it. Yeah,
if it's camping in a tent for like, I don't know, like you said, a long time.
Yeah, the specific prompt was, what if we went on a camping trip and some unforeseen circumstance meant that we had to be out longer, like extended unexpectedly, right?
In a scenario like that, I would probably. I'm a hot temper. I don't like to touch grass.
Okay.
I'm not a grass toucher. I do sometimes, but I'm not a grass toucher. So having to deal with something that was meant to be easy, and suddenly it's not. And if it's not, like I said, like I have to switch my brain to, like, you're surviving now. You're in survival mode. I would be the one that is the least pleasant for sure. But
I can believe that. Because like this is something that would frustrate me, but I'm pretty good at being frustrated at the situation and not taking that out on other people. And this is unlike Janken. I do like the outdoors. I do like the outdoors. I grew up camping a lot. And
really?
Yeah. I grew up camping a lot.
Camping was a luxury for me, so that
it was I lived pretty close to decent camping grounds, and sometimes it was cheaper than other options. Certainly cheaper than hotel. For a lot of areas. It's interesting that that's not my stalling phrase. I need to cut that out. It's becoming embarrassing. I
did my share of embarrassing, sir.
For me, but like I would be very stressed out by like my immediate reaction would be, do we have enough food? Right, like I'd be stressed out about running out of supplies. I'd be very stressed out about running out of supplies. I'd be very stressed out like about the fact like our clothes are going to get dirty sooner rather than later. That's kind of I would be stressed out about that, and I would actually say that there's a benefit there, which is I could exploit your analytical mind. I could exploit your analytical mind to make you more pleasant by turning it into an analytical problem.
Yes, I love problem fixing.
Like, by putting the focus on like, we've got a problem. We've got a problem now. The problem is like, we only brought X, Y, and Z. We brought enough for X days, and now we need them for X plus 5 days. What do we do? I think this would be unpleasant in a physical sense, but I think it would. Yeah.
You're
Scared
smart.
of what?
You're smart.
Oh no! Oh no!
You're smart. You're smart. Because that would totally work on me. That would work on me. Oh man.
I'm just being considerate. You told me
I
all
hate
of the
being
pieces.
honest about who I am, but someone would just be like, "We have a really big problem," and I am super susceptible to someone who comes to me and they're like, "Oh, we have a problem," and like we need your help, and just like, ha ha, yes, let me and my superior thinking help you, kind person. I will definitely find the best solution for you. I am
Yeah.
I don't have an ego problem, no, but I do like when people come to me and they ask that they need to rely on me. I don't know if it's the uncle energy that I try often to portray, right? I like when people value me and my expertise, and they come to me. I often say to a lot of Janken, Miss Janken, please. I often say to a lot of people when I talk to them and I ended a conversation, and I may have told you that because I know I say it to a lot of people when I end a conversation, especially the VTuber person that I've been working and being friend with. I always end, if there's anything you need or anything that I can do for you, my door is always open, and please do come, reach out. Never be afraid of reach out to me, right? And oddly enough, not a lot of people take this seriously because that doesn't happen often. But I make sure to always say that to people because I do believe it. I am someone who believes that we should work together, right? And we should rely on each other. We're all kind of, especially in the VTuber kind of scene, and I want to make sure people understand who I am for that, because it's very important for me. So if you came to me and with the way you just described it, 100%, that would work.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Oh.
Man, this is cool because it brings things I didn't think I would talk about today. The last question we have is super easy, by the way.
Yeah.
Super easy. But I have a story or two about it, and I think we're gonna probably end it with this because it's gonna be lunchtime over here. I'll take over for the last question. Last question was, who's the worst driver? And oh wait, no, there's actually, there was a lot of questions. But let's end with
brief
the
shout out. These are from Leshy the Dwarf, who's another Twitch streamer.
I think you talked about her once.
Yeah, she's cool. I like Leshy. But yes. Part of the whole dwarf tuber network. That we got going on over there.
I do follow a couple.
I'm apparently considered a semi-honorary, at least dwarf.
The dwarf VTuber likes me too for obvious reason.
Yeah. So, who's the worst driver?
That's easy.
Do you think this is an easy question?
Of course.
Who do you think is the worst?
I don't know how to drive.
Oh, okay. Actually, that doesn't make it easy.
But I do have stories about it, though. You drive?
Interesting. Yeah. I not often. I don't like it, to be honest. I don't like driving, and I joke that it's a major advantage of living in New York that I don't have to drive. I have managed to live inside New York for the better part of a decade and lived in areas around New York for much longer. And I still have never been behind the wheel of a car inside the 5 boroughs.
Wow.
And I want to keep that going.
I see.
Because driving here is awful.
When's the last time you drove then?
August.
Oh, okay. So so to go out of the city, I imagine.
If I'm already out of the city, I don't mind getting behind
you have to be out of the city. I see.
If I'm already out of the city, well, I shouldn't say I wouldn't mind. I don't like it very much, but I'll do it. You know, if somebody's got to run, if I'm visiting my parents and they want me to run errands, I'll do it. But I kind of don't like it. It's a lot of responsibility, and a lot of people are very careless with this responsibility. Yeah. That's kind of my main take. A lot of people are very careless with the responsibility that comes with driving.
I think driving at some point, it just becomes, just like walking, like kind of walking in the sense that like, it's just like, you get in your car and you start the engine and then you just go. Like you stop thinking, right? It's just a doing and not like actively driving. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that like they don't like, they're not aware enough when they are driving because habits
what I particularly hate is highway driving. And this is not an experience that you have because, like you said, you don't drive at all.
I mean, I've been like in the passenger seat, obviously. I'm just as a passenger. I don't think I can kind of feel it's not cool.
Well, so when my thing about driving on highways that really gets me is that driving makes me sleepy. Yeah. And if I'm driving in like a city or something, there's enough thing that like I'm stopping and starting enough that like it doesn't really happen.
Yeah, that's not.
But if I'm driving on a smooth highway in a modern car that has decent suspension, I can only drive for about 2 hours.
You don't feel it. You don't feel it because
it's like it's very much like being in a hammock that's gently rocking. It's very good at making me sleepy.
Oh, I get it.
If it's a car with a really bad suspension, it doesn't happen. I can keep driving with those a lot longer. If it's a crappy old car, it's much easier for me to do that. But and I used to make a lot of long trips, and I learned there's a specific route I learned where I figured out I recognized the rest stops that I would get off at.
You have to plan.
I
get it. No, that would make me feel terrified if I knew I was like holding the wheel and that I could fall asleep, and you don't control it, right? You're just like driving, and then you're kind of like you said, like being rocked, and then at some point, just like your body is just like, oh, you know what? Like, I don't care. Yeah. Like something's happening like right now, but I'm so chill that like maybe I just like would sleep right now when like your brain should be like, nah, like we're actively doing something. But I have those moments, like I completely unrelated. I fall asleep to people talking.
Yeah.
Like you're in a meeting. Right, and there's nothing happening, and there's just like someone kind of like just like, okay, so nothing really happened, but maybe we have like a new client prospect, and they go blah 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 blah, like kind of, and then I fall asleep. Like that's cool. I was notoriously bad to fall asleep in classes, not because like I didn't sleep, not because I'm a bad student. It puts me to sleep, and I don't control it. But if that happened, at least I'm sitting like comfortably. I'm not like at the wheel of a car. So yeah, I get it. No, it's I joke that I sleep better on transportation than I do in my own bed. I can understand that. There's some people it's the opposite. Like they get very I don't know, how do you say it? Transportation sickness. What is the there's an actual term, but
motion sickness. There's motion sickness.
Yes, it's the motion sickness. Yes.
I do get that. So if that doesn't get triggered, if that doesn't get triggered, I tend to get sleepy. But if it does get triggered, then that does dominate. That will win. That will win that fight if that's going on. I'm a famously bad sleeper. So it's very funny to me that like I can like drive and like I'm struggling to stay awake, and then I lay down in my own bed and like, cannot fall asleep.
For me, I drove twice in my life.
Mhm.
In all my old man life, twice. One of them very boring. It was in a closed place, and there was a car, and the other guy I was with was just like, hey, just like slowly go in the car, and I'll guide you. And like I was very, very slow in a pickup, and then there was nothing. But the real event. So I'm a big guy, right? I'm a big guy, and a friend of mine is like, "Hey, you know what? Right now, let's go go-kart. Let's go go-karting." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know how to drive. It's gonna be easy. Come on, I get it. No problem. You'll see. It's like playing video games." Like, okay, and we go there, and I get in that go-kart the first time. Never did go-kart in my life, and oh my god, I did not know like go-kart are like your ass is sitting on the ground, like you are like very, very low, right? I'm a big guy in this tiny little go-kart, and I'm like, okay,
that's gotta be a wonderful picture.
Okay, yes, you can imagine me.
I've got the visual of it. I've got the visual.
Imagine
fan artist,
imagine
please
Wario in Mario Kart. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, some fan artists, please get out there. Please get out there. Please put Janken in a go-kart that is narrower than his own shoulders.
Yes. And then we start, right? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna go slow. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't want to win. Like, I'm just like, trying to survive here. And then I go, and at some point, like, man, I'm going fast. Why am I going fast? And then, I kid you not, my brake does not work.
Oh, incredible experience.
My brake does not work. And that, like, first time in a go-kart ever, I don't know how to drive. And my cart cannot brake. And that thing is just like, and even like, I think, even if I remove my feet from like the gas, it was just going. There was no stopping.
It'll take a while.
Going. And like I have to take turns, because there's like all these tires that make like the race. And thank God, they're tires that make the race, because at some point I'm losing control. And I am destroying the whole track. I am going in all of the tire, and because I can't control this shit, and I'm yelling, I can't brake, probably in Quebecois. But I was like, I can't brake. There's no brake in my cart. And then they had they were panicking, like the staff, they had their head, their head in their ends, and they were like, oh my, like a disaster. And I broke like the whole track, and they stopped me somehow. I don't remember. They probably just stopped me physically, because go-kart's not going that crazy fast. And then I just like, okay, I'm out. Like, I don't care. I don't care about go-kart. I don't want another go-kart. And they're like, okay, just like we were gonna just stay there. Like, I was not moving, right? I was not moving, and I was not going anywhere. Like, my adventure was done. And then I'm like, big guy in a cart, right? I don't know. Have you been in a go-kart before?
Yeah, many times.
So there are places that have like kind of, a handlebar, like, you can, because you're really ass to the ground, kind of stuck in this kind of vehicle. And I see in places they have like a handbar, like you can just raise yourself. Like, as a big guy, I can't just like whoop, like prop myself like easily up. And I'm sure someone like will understand what I'm talking about. You've been like in a weird situation. You got to get up, and you're like, I have to get up. Like, how do I get up? And then one way that like someone would just use their arm to prop themselves up, right? Like, because you can't get out, so you need like to prop yourself up. So you would use their arm. And I don't know if you also remember how a go-kart is kind of done, but they would not like have anything like on the side, so I can't really put my arm there. So I reach a little bit like further with my arm right behind me, and and there's something I can prop myself up there. It's the motor that has been running nonstop. That has been running nonstop because I could not brake.
No, that's so bad, my friend.
And I burned myself like really hard on the motor, and I go like you know, like I just like a burn, and then goodness. I'm like, and then I really want to go out, and then there's this moment when you're stuck and your brain just like, I need to get out of here, and the thinking stopped. There's just like, I need to get out of here, and the thinking stopped. And I redo the same thing a second time.
No,
I put my arms again behind me, and I'm like, no, there's the engine there. I can't.
No, my friend.
I can't do this. So I scream for help. Help! I can't get out of the car. And someone come and help me to get me out of here. And I was burned on my arm for a couple years. I could still nowadays I don't see it, but for a couple years I could see the mark of where I burned myself.
That is so rough. I am so sorry. That's awful.
So driving, I'm in Japan. I don't need it.
Yeah,
and I'm not the most excited about it.
Your Miss Janken says she's never heard this story before.
I'm surprised. Though,
pretty funny way to learn like possibly one of the worst stories I've it's like a truly dreadful story.
It's the go-kart story. It's like there's this is the one like if someone like talk about driving or go-kart, I just like hold my beer. I got the story. That was a thing.
Oh my goodness, that's so bad. Oh my god. Oh my god.
And then I had to leave in shame too, because I literally stopped their operation for the day, because or for at least for a couple hours, because they had to rebuild everything. Yeah. Driving.
No, absolutely.
But that story, like, I will forever. Like, there are some moments in my life I'm like, I just like I don't really remember what I was doing at that time, but that is like a print, just like the burn on my arms. It's a burn on my on my memory. We'll never forget that story.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! My goodness gracious!
So I would be the worst driver, 100%. Even if like
no, you've convinced me. You convinced me. You convinced me. You got me there. I am a mediocre driver, is how I would describe myself. I would describe myself as mediocre, not as... I've never burned myself by touching a hot motor.
And then all the trauma probably wouldn't help me, even if I did try to learn to drive.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my story, and see, like, this is crazy. All those Q&A, they all brought like such interesting topic and things I was not ready to talk about, and I've learned from you, and you've learned from me. That was really cool. I'm really excited for when we do a Q&A edition. I think it's going to be great.
I am as well. I think it's
But I think we're running here at 2:30 mark, and
I think so too. I think
we're gonna wrap it up with that crazy story.
Oh my goodness! Yes. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, and thank you as usual to be my second old man for the
absolutely.
Wouldn't be old man Yap if I didn't have an old man to yap with.
It would just be old man. Yeah. We have to remember our plurals here.
Actually, I did not pluralize it, right? It's did I?
Oh, it's not.
Did I? I don't...
No, you didn't. You did. It's old man yap. It's old man yap. We're using it as a.
It is. Okay. Yes, exactly. Okay, good. The yes, indeed. I would need to change that.
Yeah. But yes. Thank you, and thank you to the Pommekins for.
Thank you, Pumpkins. Thank you, everyone. Oh, before we leave, I like to do that. Anything, because I know that there's something going on your channel right now.
Yes, there is.
So maybe people want to go over what's going on right now.
So I'm going to grab my Twitch channel, and I'm actually going to grab the Blue Sky and Twitter posts for it. Let me get to the Twitter post. I am doing a subathon.
Yeah.
Right now. I'm doing my first ever subathon. So there's the Twitter post where I'm less active, and the Blue Sky post where I'm more active, and twitch.tv/allmontasvt. We are up to 111 subs, which means that I owe my chats a dumpling stream. I haven't done one of those since April.
So you make the dumpling?
Yeah. Nice. It takes a couple hours to make the proper amount of dumplings. My most watched clip is actually from my previous dumpling stream. I owe them eating some of that spicy bulldog.
Nice.
I owe them learning how to knit. I do need to freaking learn how to knit. I'm going nuts from this. I feel so ashamed of my lack of
from you, right? Because this is a bit your thing.
I love hand cam. I hand cam a lot. Chat gets to pick emotes, but we still have a ways to go before, notably the big one on there, new model debut.
Yeah, I saw that. I was what? That's crazy.
Yeah. Some people have said that they're more excited for the cooking stream. The Dark Souls stream people have not been as excited about, but I know at least one person who really wants it. I know at least one person who really wants that one. But yes. I've been doing the subathon. I started this week.
Until when?
It is a cap subathon. So either I run out of time or I get to 500 subs.
I see.
And then run out of time.
I see.
So it's whatever those happen first. There's still almost. I started at 20 hours and still at about 20 hours. It's treading water, so it could be going for a while.
Okay.
It could be going for a while. Zerzon. I am possibly the worst Dark Souls player. I am so bad at Dark Souls.
It's so bad it's good. It's so bad it's good.
It took me 123 deaths before I beat the Asylum Demon.
That's a tutorial one, right?
Yeah, it's a tutorial boss. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I had 123. I actually had 124 deaths in the tutorial because one of the skeletons killed me after I beat the boss.
Nice.
So I died at least one more time before I got out of the tutorial zone. But yeah, no, I'm staggeringly bad at Dark Souls. Last I checked, I was at 440 deaths.
Wow.
Apparently people like it though, because the only time I was at all impatient was when I learned that there's no pause. That was the only time I got mad, was when I learned that I can't pause. I was like,
yeah, you can go to a bonfire, and that's pretty much as close as you get as pausing.
Yeah, but ad breaks don't obey that. The ad breaks don't obey that. The ad breaks are mechanical, which is why I've disabled them now. I've gone to different ads.
I see.
Different ads, but yes, I have been. This has been a very good subathon for me so far. They got me to play mouthwashing. I'm doing a pseudo-blind playthrough of Outer Wilds.
Cool. I like it, and a lot of people like that game. I haven't played it myself. Incredible. I will at some point.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yes,
it's beautiful.
Yes,
I've played it before, so I know what's going on. I'm just refusing to do anything. I'm not doing any sequence breaking. I'm just following what the game says. I'm following what the game says, and I've forgotten how staggeringly beautiful and amazing it is. It's there's a reason why so many people put it in their top 5 games of all time from all different genres.
Yeah, I heard. It's on my watch. It's on my watch for sure.
I've had entire parties organized around just listening to the vinyl.
Okay.
Like it's really good. Anyway, Yeah, and the other thing that I think I started since the last time I was on here, I've been doing a series of interviews, an interview series where I have people on to talk about, quote, a book that changed their life.
Yes, I think I saw those.
Yeah. A book that changed their life. The main. So, like, the most recent one was The Prince of Nothing, but I've had on... So, there have been a lot of fantasy stories, but I've also had the Epic of Gilgamesh. I had a piece of sociology of Japanese otaku.
Okay.
Somebody did that. That one was very cool. And next week is actually Nando.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Nando's actually coming on.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's been a wonderful series. I usually do it Friday at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern.
All right.
That one's been a very wonderful series. I will not be able to do it every... I like doing it every week. It'll get broken by Thanksgiving.
Sometimes things happen. But yeah, I pinned your channel. So if you guys want to go there and check this out, on my end, I was meant to do a Pomme Star yesterday, but got time zone and scheduling issues. So it's gonna be next week. It's gonna be next week on Japanese time, Saturday, 9 a.m. And I didn't say that yet, but now I get to say it. And on the next week, there's going to be another Pomme Star. So if you guys really like Pomme Star, there's going to be a lot of Pomme Stars going in the next month. I want to ramp up the Pomme Stars episode because I haven't been able to do it because I was sick, really, really sick. And that kind of threw a wrench in my plans. And yeah, so there's going to be a lot of that. If you guys like Pomme Stars, there's going to be that. And I am currently, and I will right after this go post on social media, I am currently seeking pumpkins carving, which is the stream that I did yesterday. Okay. No, not yesterday, on Friday. And I am running this Halloween thing where I am giving a line art of my mascot / my fans. That is the Usagiringo, the rabbit apple, and people get to modify them to match their personality, to match what they like, to match whatever creative form they have. And if I do get enough, I will make a review on Halloween, and I like to see everyone's creativity on how they can do their own pumpkins. We already did some drawing session with everyone. That is really cool, by the way. I don't know if you like to draw, or if you ever want to do that. Maybe you could do calligraphy.
I was about to say, I don't do much drawing. I am not much of a drawer.
But you could do calligraphy and invite people to do with you if it's. But it's not. Do you do it can you also do it on a pad, like a drawing pad?
No, I don't even own one either. I don't own one either.
It could have been an idea, but yeah. I see.
Yeah, I have only ever done traditional art. I don't know how to do any digital art. I don't have the tools. I don't know how to do it.
But yeah, we did that, and there was already some great entry as we did live. But I am seeking more if people want to do it and if they want to participate. So I will be posting that after the stream. So yes, and that would be for Halloween. And that's it for me on my hand. I am working on some bigger project, but I'm not ready to tell you about it yet. But it's gonna be really fun, and Al, you're gonna get an invite whenever this project goes.
I look forward to it.
Yes, a lot of people are gonna receive an invite for it. Anyway, that's it for today, everyone. Once again, thank you, Al, for coming. Absolutely. Thank you for the great idea of the Q&A. That's cool, and I can't wait for next time when we take everyone live question.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thank you. Yep.
You know what? We need an ending.
We do need
in the Japanese thing, it's like otsu something. We could otsu. It's either otsu old man or otsu omai, because it's the omy. What do you
Yeah,
think? What do you think is it's?
I think
ideas.
also Old Man kind of scans a little bit better. Also
Yes?
My is a little
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Okay, I agree. Okay, so on a count of 3, let's everyone in the chat, Otsu Old Man. All right. On a 1, 2, 3, Otsu Old Man.
Old Man.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Goodbye.